it's a different feeling when you buy something and smoke it versus growing something, harvest it yourself, and kind of like, and smoke that. Like, I mean, you can buy a tomato at a store versus you can grow your own like really ripe tomato, and then it's just gonna be a lot different. You're gonna be more excited. It's that feeling that you go for. And
Grassroots growing, power to the people. Master grower at Abbey, Phat Nguyen, talks all about the history of the homegrown movement, how it shaped their fully automated grow box, and why self-cultivation still has a place amongst the dispensary model which has dominated North America since 2012. Alrighty, so we're here with Phat Nguyen. Welcome to the show, Master Grower at Abbey. So tell us a little bit about you, and I also need to introduce my colleague Jamie, who's also Senior Content Creator here at Thermador. So actually, Jamie, you kind of discovered, I want to say, what Abbey were doing, and sort of made me aware. So I thought, actually, it's a really cool opportunity for you to introduce Phat and talk about a little bit about the products that they're creating there. So Phat, over to you. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and how you got into and just about what Abbey's doing, because it's a really cool thing.
of course. So my name is Phat Nguyen. I'm around 20. I'm 26 years old, and right now I'm the master grower for Abbey. So I test the prototype of Abbey in their growing from seed to harvest to see how it works. A little bit with myself and how I get into like cannabis and growing and all of that was in high school. I was introduced to it. My best friend, he was a big, you would call him a stoner. I was like a very conservative person. I don't really like, really private, doesn't go out much, but because of him, I got connected with cannabis, and I came to the realization the stigma was wrong. It healed me, it keeps me kind of focused. So I started becoming like a regular user. And then during my college time, I was still using, but I got interested more in the growing side of it, cultivation side of it. It really interests me on the flowers. So I just took like, botanical classes and stuff like that. So got myself started a little bit on like the growing at home situation in college. And trust me, it was like so shitty back then. I had my first few crops die by bugs. It was terrible. So, I learned the hard way throughout the whole process. And step by step, little by little, it grew into like a small operation in one room of flower and then the tent of like veg. Small operation. Right now, I don't do it due to like the legalization of it. But And during that time, I got into the cannabis industry through a few dispensaries. I started working retailing there, and then I started managing there. And then at the same time, I was kind of growing. So and once like the legalization kind of hit California, everything was cracked down. So my grow kind of stopped. Like the operation, but I still have a small little grow that I do at home, like 6-7 plants that I have. But yeah, that's how I got my foot in the door. And now I'm with Abbey, and I'm kind of like, growing for the company.
Oh, that's really cool, man. That's great. Like they're talking about how you got in with when it got in with Abbey and kind of started that process. That obviously you building, and I won't steal too much of your thunder, but you guys have just released like at retail stage of a product following a really successful Kickstarter campaign.
Right.
So what's that kind of journey been like? Trying to get money into a startup business in the cannabis space where maybe it's a bit challenging, or you're fighting stigma, like you said.
Yeah, so luckily we have strong backers that back us for Abbey. Our backers, they're basically a big manufacturing for like vape devices and whatnot, and they came up with like different kind of like devices, and Abbey is one of them. And one of our designers, actually the top designer for I forgot the name of the company, but he worked with a really big company in China that does like, so he joined the team, designed the full functionality of Abbey grow from like all their system, their fan system, light system, water system, everything. So, and then I got on board once the product was made already, and we're prototyping it. So the first couple prototype, I can bring the camera over and show you guys later. It works really well. I mean, I still use it right now on my third growth for it, so third harvest. But the newer model they would come out with, like, we kind of we updated the specs of it. So the first couple model, there was like issues with app control, as well as with sound, and like a few other little spec here and there. But now it's pretty like on point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like as I've looked into the space quite a bit. There's like different ends of the spectrum, right? So you've got the real DIY side, like really, kind of a bit redneck, like, people growing in bins and things like that, just hidden in closets, things like that.
Right,
and then you kind of make your way up where people are using, I don't know, Raspberry Pis, Arduinos, things like that, with some kind of basic kind of horticulture, like watering, temperature management. But this seems like it's like really polished. That's the thing I noticed first when I spotted it. It's really nicely put together.
So the idea of Abby is for more targeted to a newer grower audience. I mean, if you're like a seasoned grower and like you want to do like big volume, you would want to invest in like, a big tent with like multiple plants and stuff. But if you want to do a small little home growth just for yourself to use, and you have no idea how to start, Abby was perfectly would be a perfect fit. The whole system, it kind of basically took out all the DIY stuff, literally. So you don't have to search for the right tent, don't have to search for the right medium, don't have to search for which light to use, which fan to use, how to connect everything, set up everything. And on top of which, we would provide the customer a fertilizer. So it's a pre-mixed fertilizer. I use it all my grows here with Abby, and it's high in all the nutrients that it needs throughout the whole life of it. And then you don't have to like research what to use, how to mix it. You just throw in the pod and let it grow. Yeah, so that's what Abby it's mainly focuses for, and I think it's a great product for that market, 100%.
Cool. I was going to say, it's kind of like, where you have like homebrew kits and you have people, enthusiasts who are sort of dabbling with it, but, with trying to brew their own beer and stuff like that. It's almost kind of like that, but for cannabis. Exactly. So you could basically, you can grow your own strain, absolutely. And you could experiment with your own, like grow your own stuff, and absolutely. It's like an all-in-one kit. So like in home brewing, I'm sure there's like a setup you have to do as well. So with Abby, it's all in one.
It's just a, like I say, I could kind of gush about it for ages. It's a really nice product, but like looking at that side of things in the US, we're in the UK where there's no legal market for recreational cannabis at all. And that's kind of changing in parts of Europe where people are able now to, I think, Malta, I know in Thailand now you can have a certain number of plants in your house for medical use. There's all sorts of different legislation, but in the US where you have dispensaries, why would someone want to look? I'll play devil's advocate. Why would someone want to look to growing at home their own strain rather than going to a dispensary and having a pick of 200 different strains that are all signed off, all homegrown? What's the advantage? What's the kind of drive for that, do you think?
Right. I mean, even without Abby, I grow my own stuff regardless. So there's gonna be like you said, there's homebrew beer. So there's always gonna be a retail size for all that but the thing is, it's different. It's a different feeling when you buy something and smoke it versus growing something, harvest it yourself, and kind of like
and smoke that. Like, I mean, you can buy a tomato at a store versus you can grow your own like really ripe tomato, and then it's just gonna be a lot different. You're gonna be more excited. It's that feeling that you go for, and that's and Abbey is. I mean, of course, Abbey is not made for commercial use, which it's more for like a personal use, and that's like the experience we're going for.
No, it's really cool. Like it is that it's almost, if you're passionate or if you're interested in cannabis and you want to, get more involved with something, if you want to understand more, if you want to go deeper into it, so different cannabinoids, different terpenes, different, there's this massive amount of information out there that you can kind of delve into and just get lost in almost. It becomes a hobby, the growing side of it. That's what it kind of feels like.
And that's exactly what it is. And even when I grow in volume, but I still use for Abbey in different uses as well. Like even for commercial use, for like commercially, you can't separate a whole room for like a mother room or like for a flower room, right? You for your mothers, you can just put one of them in a few Abbey and then just cut your mothers from there and clones from there, and that's a whole another separate room for that environment yourself. So it's multiple use. It's terrific.
Absolutely. I'd say, I mean, do you feel like, I mean, again, going back to the tomato, again, tomato thing. When you grow something like that, you can taste the quality. You can feel it's a better product. It smells. Do you think it's the same with cannabis strains? Is there a certain quality when you kind of grow your own, or is it kind of a perception thing? What do you think?
It's definitely a little bit of both, for sure. So the perception thing is absolutely 100%. You're gonna feel great, smoking your own harvest and like your own stuff, and you can share it to your friends and everything. And the other side of it is the quality side, and that depends on the skill set of the grower, to be honest with you. So if you're new and you're just starting out, your first harvest might not be as pretty as like a seasoned grower, but I mean, we give you the supplies and like we give you all of the pre-mixed fertilizer, so it should come out like at least like really good, if not like if it's not like super expensive cannabis or whatnot. But once you're more skilled and more knowledgeable on it, you'll find little tweaks and things throughout the grow to make it better. So even we provide the base nutrients, so you can even add different kind of PK booster, different kind of mycorrhiza, different kind of supplements that kind of boost your bud production. You can probably manage your environment a little bit better around Abbey, even to kind of like give it its better environment to kind of grow it in. So you can do like little things to like optimize the grow and make the quality of the bud better and better. So it's a little bit of both, but at the end of the day, it's it'll get you high.
I like the fact, No, I just really appreciate the fact you said a lot of it's perception. Like it's there's an enjoyment, isn't there, when you made it yourself. So of course it smokes good because you did it, right? I think that's a really nice way of looking at it.
Absolutely. I forgot what I was going to ask, so no, please continue.
No, you're talking about you're talking about like the self-cultivation. Abbey is built to make it easier for people, right? You're taking away those pain points. I've never grown, so I won't pretend to be good or bad at it, but it's clear that you kind of know what you're talking about. What are the sorts of things that people get wrong? Like in DIY setups, if someone's growing 1 or 2 plants at home, what are the sort of things that people get wrong, or either from the outset or during, be that veg, flower, wherever?
Right. So you can't really get something super wrong. You can do you can do like little things that can destroy your harvest, or it's some stuff that you don't pay attention to. Like let's say if you see like pest infection or something and you don't take care of it, that's gonna ultimately destroy your crops, of course. But little things that you might do that can destroy the crop with Abbey is very minimal, because we did set a certain structure and like system, so it's very easy to kind of like mess up the grow in a sense. So basically, like let's say for example, the distant you leave your plant from the light. Like if you set your own grow, you know, like if you don't know the distant, and if it's too far, your plant will get really stretchy, and it will try to reach for the light, and it won't get like all the light on the bottom end, and you know you're missing that whole spectrum. Versus if you put it way too close, it will burn your plant, you know. Yeah. So with Abby, it kind of eliminates that and kind of give you like the right kind of length where you have your plants at. So it kind of does that in a sense. So to answer your question, Abby would help the newer growers mainly the most.
Yeah, it takes like, the challenges away, doesn't it? You know, that's the kind of
exactly.
Is it foolproof? Because someone with no experience, come and do it. Is that the kind of thing? It's foolproof. Someone like me who's just like hopeless.
So
with, you know,
being a seasoned grower, I would say Abby is foolproof to like at least 90% for sure. But if you don't handle the flower right, you still can mess up the process. So we do give like little tips here and there. Like let's say you're just starting out, and you're starting out with the clone, and you're trying to put it inside Abby, and you don't know how to place the clone. So that can be an issue, because if you just drop it in, it can just hurt the roots. And we've tried that before, and that's one of our tests. We just drop it in, let it go. The roots got damaged, and it didn't fruition. It didn't flower. It just didn't absorb because it's damaged at that point. It's stressed. So there's like certain process and way you want to handle the plant carefully, but that's like the little 10% of it, you know.
But again, that's part of your role as well, is it, to kind of figure those things out so you can say to people, hey, don't do that, you know.
Exactly.
Mess it up.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like for example, one of the things too, because we give them the base fertilizer, but as you know, different areas, different countries, they use different water source, and tap water can have different kind of pH level, contaminants, and everything. So with that kind of stuff, we recommend that like customer use like a local trusted water provider that's distilled, or like RO or something, and that will work just fine, because we can trust for sure there's no contaminants or anything in that. So little things like that you want to know for like newer growers. Yeah, that would help kind of optimize the process with Abby. But Abby, you don't really have to do all like the legwork of mixing the nutrients and like, setting up everything. You just, for Abby, what I would usually do weekly is I change the water. I add the new feed to the water. That's about it. And maybe one time a few weeks, I would, prune it. So a few techniques, growing techniques, I prune it, and like I train it so it to make like an even canopy, so it grows like for the entire area of Abby. Newer growers, they probably won't know how to like do that, but we'll give like little tips and tricks for that to maximize your yield.
It's sorry, Dave. I think it's like it's a really interesting, right? Cannabis is thought of and it has a lot of taboo around it, a lot of stigma, because it's a drug. Right? For years and years, it's been prohibited and railed against by kind of a lot of media and a lot of people in society, really. But ultimately, it's a huge amount of care and attention goes into growing plants and to getting them to a certain point and to getting them to a certain quality and with certain characteristics. It's just like any other, crop growing, right? The amount of time and effort and energy that goes in is just the same.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the weed in like 2020 versus, the 2000 and in the 2000 versus now is totally different. It's like like the skunk OG from the past, man. It was. If you've seen pictures or like if you guys, it's rough, it's hard, it's seasoned, it's brown, and but now you can see the connoisseur kind of stepping up the game, and the grower kind of diving into that science and like bringing out the really quality of cannabis. I mean, anyone can grow cannabis. It's really easy. Growing quality and good cannabis, it's hard.
Say, are there any particular strains that, if you're starting out, is particularly like, easier to handle than others, or any particular type, or what do a lot of people, and they're kind of like starter strains that people go, right, I've grown this one now, and does it kind of work like that? Or
For strains to start, we would recommend you go with a trusted local seed provider, or like there's a lot of seed providers on the market like Seedsmen. They're pretty renowned, or your local clone provider. We're in the works right now with a few clone partnerships to see if we can try to get them to like do a national level kind of thing to provide clones to like our audience. But in certain areas this is not possible, obviously. And we would recommend you choose like a recommended or local trusted clone provider. With those, they would tend to carry really good genetics, good strains that will fruition. But ultimately, any strain will fruition well inside Abbey. It's just gonna take either a little bit more time or a little bit more love to bring those like genetics, those weaker genetics to pop. Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, I'll just dive in. Sorry, Dave, don't interrupt you.
No,
kind of maybe talking about that kind of, I don't know, that stigma, that taboo. In the US, you've got evolving legislation. You were saying, it's changed, and that's changed how you can grow at home and that sort of thing. I'll put you on the spot. Like, where do you think it's going? Like in the next few years, well, people are kind of cry or fly the flag for federal legalization, but do you think that's likely in the short term, or do you think it'll stay state by state? And
2 weeks ago, the House just passed the legislation for and voted yes to pass for federal legalization of weed. So step one is good. Right now, the bill is in the Senate, and then if it passes, goes to the president, and then we're set to go. I think the timeline for that is still a few years out. I mean, you know how legislation can be; it's take a while, but for sure, 100%, it's gonna be And I have this notion that it will become like a worldwide kind of like medicine eventually. Like right now it just takes time and stigma to like kind of develop, and it's going to take the new generation to kind of like, oh, this is not a bad plant, this is going to help you. And I mean, in the past, even me myself, I've been taught, this is bad, don't do this, this is a drug, don't it will cause you to try, it's a gateway drug to go to other kind of avenues, but I've never gone down any other avenue, and I just stay at cannabis, and I just kind of like build out from there. But so the stigma, I personally believe the stigma is it's a lobbying thing from like big pharmaceuticals, but now that people are kind of more open-minded, kind of getting used to it, kind of be like, oh, this is let me try it out, it's a medicine, oh, I'm not addicted, I'm not this makes me feel great, I'm more stable, so this is the way to go.
Yeah, so more information out there, more education around it, and
more
it's not just more access to cannabis, it's more access to the resources around it, and seeing people do it safely, and people take care of themselves, and honestly, like having in a commercial space, having people put together well thought out products like you guys. So like you're building a business around that plant effectively, aren't you? You've said cannabis is good, so we're making a product that helps you grow cannabis. That's correct. That's very much what you're doing. So I think that legitimizes it in a lot of people's eyes and stops it being black market. It stops being, getting in some guy's car and buying it, down the street or going for a drive to find someone. It's just, as soon as it becomes a regular thing that you can buy in a shop, or that you can order online, or that you can grow at home, it's in your house, it's acceptable. It's no different to a glass of wine or a beer, right?
Exactly. No,
I think it's that innovation part as well. Yeah, and
especially in like states that is medicinal and not legal, or like people that have medicinal card that can like it's approved to use it, but there's no dispensary around there to like sell it, or like they have no access to it. But they need it for their medicine because they have an autistic family member, or like someone in pain that they want to heal. It's a perfect thing for them to take home and go their own stuff and like take care of their family. Yep.
I was going to say, do you think there's an innovation aspect to it as well? The more that people are creating different ways to use,
Oh,
grow,
absolutely.
that becomes a kind of right. Well, that's a kind of cool piece of tech that makes it kind of
Absolutely. Yeah,
accessible.
there's like many type of like grow communities out there already, and it's growing right now too. THC farmers online. I mean, that's a forum that, that's created like years ago with like barely any people come in, but now it's popping with people coming in and like asking how to grow, and like there's a big administration team that handles that. There's the community of growers. It's just gonna keep expanding as the stigma continues to be more positive about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, gardening, it's already like a hobby for, for a lot of people, and that's what it is. Cannabis is a plant. It's come from nature. It's gardening at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. What's like, you guys are rolling out now and it's all kind of kicking off. You just had a really busy week with 420, obviously, just gone, and you're kind of rolling out. You've got the app, you've got the hardware. What's the future?
Right now,
all sorts.
Yeah, so right now we just launched like last month. We just launched our pre campaign, and then we launched our main shop, and then we have an influx of huge orders. So right now our main focus is production, production. Yeah. So the first hundreds of units is right now on their way to our facility, and we're expecting to ship those out within the next month to our backers, and then the next batch is currently in production, and so production is the main thing right now due to the positive volume we've been receiving.
Yeah, where have you got to with that? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say regular business problems, right? It's not even cannabis.
Exactly.
Supply and demand.
Exactly, supply demand. That's all it is.
That's it. But I mean, how many units have you kind of sold, or how many backers have you got? What have you managed to raise so far, and how many units you're shipping out? Just
right. I don't know the exact number yet, but we have like around a couple hundred of backers, I believe, and we just launched the website last Tuesday, I believe. So our sales on there, the report, also in the hundreds. So we're not hitting the thousands just yet, but I mean, it is a high ticket price item, and it's all in one, and it is right now I would still say it's a rare hobby, but as time passes, it's gonna, increase that as well. So that's where we are. But and we make every product by hand. So we put everything together, and like doing just one takes a minute too. So that's why a couple hundred is a lot to us.
No, absolutely.
For the start, yeah.
Absolutely. And how how much are you selling them for right now, and what kind of what are people getting for when they back it? What does it contain? I mean, you mentioned about you've got some of the tips and some of the premix nutrients and things like that. But the box itself, and what are the kind of components you've got?
So on the retail side right now, the box goes for $9.99, and that includes 3 months subscription for our fertilizer and all the supplies. So we basically send you for the subscription. You get the fertilizer for the entire grow cycle. You could order more too, because we know some strain can be very strenuous, where they require like a lot of nutrients, and then you burn out your nutrients fast. So we have the option to order more if needed. But on average, we give enough, a pretty good amount to last the whole grow cycle. And it comes with like training supplies. Abby is basically a magnetic box, so you can like stick magnet training. I don't know what they're called, but they're magnet training little parts that you can just like stick onto the around the area of the side of Abby, and then you can use your training strings and then just tie however you want to do that.
So it's rather than using like a cargo net, it's just coming off the sides basically to pull it.
Exactly, and that's what we include too. One of the nets to train, and also carbon filter, and then it also comes with like a very invaluable product, which is like a one-on-one service, and we have a team of growers that we train to kind of like take on like questions for any new growers I might have. So with the subscription, if you're a new grower, you can call in the 24-hour service. If you're subscribed, and we help you out with any type of growing question, technical questions, or if you just want to talk about cannabis, yeah, we'll be there.
Cannabis hotline. It's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I think it's it's a well put together product. You mentioned the carbon filter there, and that's I think probably the thing that most people, if they're doing home grows, probably have the biggest problem with. Even in ignoring the kind of illegitimate market, but even in legitimate markets, people maybe are in rented accommodation where their landlord doesn't want it, or they are in a home where other people in the house don't want it. Like if they're with roommates, stuff like that. How effective do you think the carbon filter is? Is it pretty good? Like, does it kind of kick the smell out?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good because our filtration system, our air system, is basically an intake on the bottom of Abbey, and then our exhaust right there, and right before the exhaust is the carbon filters, and the air that circulates, that moves up, goes air goes through that carbon filter, so it doesn't like leaks and go out anywhere, and it filter out all the cannabis smell and stuff. I personally don't use the carbon filter because I like the smell.
Yeah.
To be honest, I like the way I think cannabis should have a line of perfume. There's different strains. That's what I think. But for testing purposes, yeah, it kills all the smells. You can smell it with 3 Abbeys in the room. Yeah,
that's great.
Absolutely cool. No, I mean it's a really. Is there anyone else out there doing something like this? I mean, it feels like this is a bit of a first, and it's like actually there's a real. You can see so much market potential for this from a sort of business perspective. And I think that, where are you shipping to? And are you shipping just to the US, or is it US and Canada at the moment? And just, are you restricted by the sort of states where it's legal, or recreation, is legal? What's the kind of strategy, I guess?
We ship it worldwide right now. Anyone wants it can get it. Only because it's a base system. It's an all-in-one setup. You can grow anything, not just cannabis. We've tested with hemp, we've tested with tomatoes, we tested with peppers, or we tested with, So you can grow anything that can utilize the deep underwater culture system. And so we ship it everywhere. But our main target is the legal states and like the legal areas where you can grow indoor cannabis, and that's where we see the most of the volume as well.
Yeah. So I think it's a positive thing because again, you're not really, because as an ancillary kind of business, you can operate across state lines, which I guess producers themselves, unless they're an MSO, or even as an MSO, they can't transport products across state lines, can they?
Exactly. That's why it's so hard to get the clones suppliers to go through national level. Right. That's like, yeah. But hopefully interstate commerce happens soon.
But that's it. Well, again, it comes with the federal legalization. But again, it just makes sense, doesn't it? It's going to get to a point where it's like, damn it, it's just so much easier if we just do it, because people are going to probably do it anyway. I'm not saying that they do, but speculation is, I suppose, rife in that respect. But it's it just gets to a point where there's so many kind of laws that you can't do this, you can't do that, but it's just hampering progress, right? And there needs to be a sort of tipping point, I think. But again, you're still in a great position, so
luckily for us, it's just hardware. It's not anything cannabis related, so we're able to do interstate commerce. But the goal is to be able to supply this for the whole cannabis community everywhere, the whole world.
That's a really cool vision. Really cool vision.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say, just to kind of wrap things up, any other kind of pointers about sort of Abbey you wanted to kind of give us, or any other questions or any other thoughts you have about the sort of where you see the potential or what you'd like to see happen within the kind of US cannabis sector?
Yeah, our goal is basically trying to get one of these on like to even if they don't if they don't grow cannabis, then they just grow gardening. I'm trying to get to one of these in like every household that we can. And I think it's a great product for and gardening is just a great hobby to take care of something living thing and see it grow. So that's the whole like point of it, and just kind of what's the word, not destroy, but like kind of like lessen the negative stigma about like cannabis, and like it's bad for you, and make it into like almost like a hobby, and anyone can just get into it, and like it's tobacco where you can just go get a smoke of cannabis.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would love to show you guys like the current Abbey and the current situation. You guys want to check it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just thinking how we're going to use this on the audio. So,
That's okay.
Audio, we can talk people through it, or we can refer them to the video podcast aspect, can't we? But no, it's cool. No, I absolutely love it.
Cool. Can you guys see me still?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So this one I'm about to harvest today, actually. So this is 1 and this is 2 right here.
Mm-hmm. What strains have you got in there?
Right now, we're doing 1 strain right now to keep the data point consistent.
Sure.
As you know, this is the prototype 1. So prototype 1, there's no muffler on it. Sounds is just loud. You could probably hear it, but everything works perfectly. I'm about to harvest this.
Whoa, there's quite a lot in there. I mean, how many plants, how many seeds did that take, and how long did it take to grow that amount?
This took me around 2 months and a half to grow. The cool thing about the fertilizer and the deep water underculture system, it expedites the growth. Basically, you can see how fast. Right now, I need to change the water. I haven't changed it in a week. And in a week, you can see that took out everything. It's like empty.
Yeah, so, it's right ready for cropping, isn't it?
Exactly. But it's been going on for 2 months and a half already. And I think she's pretty much ready. Right now, it's in the flushing phase. So I'm not giving it any nutrients or whatnot. And I wish you guys could smell this. This is great.
Yeah, I think I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to show you guys the fertilizer it comes in. It's literally these like Tide Pods looking thing, and then
they are.
Pop it.
It's like a dishwasher tablet, or like you say, a Tide Pod, or like a detergent.
Yeah. Normally, you would want to you get your nutrients and you mix it together, and then you have to formulate it, and then pH balance and everything. This takes all of that away. So hours of work. Away. And over here all you have to do is put nutrient base 1 and base 2 here. And on the app, let me see if I can show you guys the app too. Yeah. Let me get my phone. I can show you guys the app in a minute, but you can press the button, ready to feed, and then it does it for you. This one is a new one, the newer prototype that I got. It's a lot quieter, as you can hear. And this is only 2 weeks, and it started really small.
Wow.
This is 2 weeks of growth.
That's crazy for 2 weeks. It's massive.
Yeah. Before, you could imagine it would just be this one little clone plant.
Yeah.
So it was just like one branch like this. In 2 weeks, it massively grew due to the nutrients provided inside those Tide Pods.
Wow. But don't call it a weed for nothing, I guess. It just sprouts up. Absolutely. Wow. That's so cool.
So,
right, so you can imagine it just being another household kind of white good, like a dishwasher or a washing machine or a refrigerator, and it's just this is where we grow the cannabis, and it's okay, cool.
Yeah. And so you just have your Abbey next to your pantry, and you're lined up in the kitchen. Yeah.
And that's what we were going for in terms of the design, to look like a modern aesthetic where you kind of fit in your home, and like you don't even think about it. And weekly you just kind of, do your water change, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the AV app. Let me log in so you can see.
I think it is just that really clever thing of, distilling down to what a grow requires. You go, right, here you go, Mr. Customer. Here are all the things that you need. Pop it in, be sensible, follow the kind of simple steps, and the rest of it is supported by good nutrients, a good water system, good air system. It's just really well put together.
Exactly. So yeah, the whole main goal was to give that, was to create that environment the plant really needs to thrive, but in like an all-in-one kind of situation. You don't have to like buy a certain thing. You guys don't have to buy this thing to make this thing happen. Yeah, so everything is just in one.
So it makes it so much easier, it looks like. I mean, again, I feel like it's the sort of thing I could, personally kind of use and just be like, do you know what? I don't even have to think about it. I just have to remember to water it like I do any house plant. And that just takes such a big pain point away, I suppose, for a lot of people. And
Exactly. Cool. I'm trying to get the app to open right now.
That's cool.
The thing I really like is that, we see lots of cool kind of people cropping up in the market, be it dispensaries or be it brands that are featured in dispensaries, but there's not always a huge amount of kind of hardware out there outside of your kind of regular consumer goods. So you've got you've got vapes, you've got different bongs, everything like that. Actual consumer goods. It's very rare to find a bit of tech. That you're thinking about making something acceptable, making something that people want to see. Having your Apple Watch, nice gadget, whatever it is on your wrist. You've got the same thing at home. In that capacity is cool.
Correct. Yeah. So I think it's super cool. It's super modern. It simplified a lot of things, like how Amazon simplify ordering and like fulfillment. We're trying to do the same, simplify the grow process of not only cannabis but like any plants that you want to do. And I have the app open up right here. Unfortunately, I don't have the parameters open because I show you guys I need to fill up my water, and it's reminding me to fill up the water. And I can't do anything else. But I'm gonna show you guys the basically the prototype-ish of the app. Basically, it will kind of show you kind of all these parameters, the height, the liters, where the temperature, the humidity, everything you control basically. Light intensity, exhaust fan, power fan, like to the T. Yeah, so
there's
you
so
can
much
right
different
here,
things to choose from.
And here you can like feed your plant. You can also drain the plant. So there's a button right here where you can drain the water. So that's.
Oh, wow! So you can actually control it from your phone, like actual elements of it. It's not just monitoring it. You can actually interact with it in certain ways.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Correct, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to have to get one shipped to the UK, Dave, I think, because I love tomatoes.
Yeah, me too. I'm very partial to a nice big red tomato.
Right.
But it's cool. No, but again, it's fascinating. Really. No, and I personally, I wish you the best of luck. And I don't think there's going to be any shortage of popularity in terms of what you're doing. And it's just a case of letting people know it's out there. So again, let's.
Of course. Let me have a question for you guys. How is the UK in terms of the cannabis stigma?
You want to go first?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, okay. So we've got there's different stuff going on. So recreational, people will look for a push for it, but we're at a stage where
you guys are recreational, right? On like a few areas, or
nope, absolutely zero.
Wow.
It's a B-class drug,
Wow.
so I think you've got maximum sentence for possession is 7 years. Yeah, so no messing. Whether or not that happens, we have like a kind of more local level. Some police just not interested. Yeah, but there's nothing kind of in writing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very like I think in London they were the mayor of London was trying to introduce a kind of like, well, if it's again non-violent, someone's just caught with possession, it's a case of you can prosecute if you want, but there's no point type thing,
Right.
I think a lot of, legally it's kind of like, they'll throw the book at you if they have to, but again, you probably have to just, pick a police officer on the wrong day and
It's less strict than before, you would say.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, it's kind of gone back and forward. It used to be a C-class drug, and then it got upgraded to a B.
Oh,
but it's a funny thing. But we have legal medical cannabis. But the thing is, because most people get their healthcare through the NHS, which is public healthcare.
Okay.
It's not available through public healthcare. So most people don't have access or awareness of it. So you can only get it through a private clinic, a private doctor.
Yeah.
Which obviously has cost attached to it, which in the UK is not popular, or for a lot of people kind of possible, really.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, in the US, a lot of states, we started medicinal first too. And then, a lot of people want to utilize the medicinal side and like not get in trouble. So they'll, go to like a doctor and get like, I don't know, I have insomnia, my back hurts, something like,
but I've gone down I'm a medical cannabis patient, and, I spoke to the doctors. I've got pre-existing things that I can, they qualify you, for existing conditions. But and then, it's a case of, well, what's available, and then
how easy is it to get that medical card there in the UK?
Well, there is no medical card. There's something called like a CAN card, but it's not like a legal thing. It's not. It's basically a bunch of medical cannabis patients have kind of introduced this thing themselves. So essentially, and I don't have a canna card. It doesn't mean anything really. So I can still get sent, the best part of an ounce legally for medical reasons through the post in a medical bottle.
I see.
But if the police come along and sort of take, there's nothing, they'd have to put them in touch with the doctor to say, yes, he is legally allowed to have this, because otherwise I'm just in possession. Yeah, well, there would be nothing for me. There would be nothing for me to say, yes, I'm allowed this. They could say, yeah, of course you'd say that, and then they'd haul you in and, guilty till proven innocent, basically, type thing.
Got it. Okay,
it's crazy. It is an odd situation.
It is. And it's developing quickly, and a lot of, like we said at the start, a lot of Europe are kind of trying different things out. There's pilots in different countries. I think in Denmark and in Switzerland they've got recreational pilots there. Germany have got a medical market and a recreational market that's coming. Malta, you can grow your own plants. There's lots of different things happening. It's just where you guys have got it at a state level, we have it almost like it's a country level within the continent.
And even broken down further. Again, Amsterdam, Netherlands, it's decriminalized. It's not technically legal because, again, you can go and buy it legally from a coffee shop like you do in Amsterdam, but the supply chain is essentially black market.
Yes, because it's illegal to grow. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like, well,
so since you guys have the medicinal program in place and stuff, I would assume that there's businesses that cultivation still up. No.
So here's he wanted to know something really crazy.
Then how does the medical patient get there?
UK medical cannabis cannot come from the UK.
Okay.
So we are Europe's biggest cannabis grower, and yet none of the cannabis that we grow is consumed in this country.
That's wild.
Yes, changing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but again,
I should move over there and start.
Oh, you know what? You know what? You'd be ahead of the curve, and you'd be in an advantageous position. But again, it's like again, when I get my medical cannabis through the mail, I get it from it's a Tilray, so it's a Canadian brand. It's been sourced through Germany, and it's come to the UK from a UK dispensary. But again, it's so it's kind of like. And it could be growing in the field next door to where I'm living potentially. But again, I can't access that because the supply chain is not allowed to work that way. So
it's crazy.
But again, another guy I spoke to, he's I guess in one of the podcasts we did earlier, it's a Canadian guy who lives in the UK. He's called James Smith. He works for a company called 4C Labs, and they are operating. They're raising money to grow kind of basically BC, like British Columbian bud, which he claims is the best in the world, but he would claim that because he's from that part of the world.
Got it.
But they're trying to bring that premium of cannabis and growing it on one of the islands of Guernsey. So we have like the Channel Islands here, which are kind of part of the UK, but they're also independent
And
in their
then
own.
just import it over.
Yeah, that's his plan. And again, it's a very smart idea. And I'm sure they'll make a great success of it. But again, they're only targeting the medical market right now. But they've had to jump through a load of hoops to kind of get to that point and get approval from.
I would assume so, yeah. And then where do these medical patients get the stuff? I'm sure there's no retailers, right?
No, it's
Just
just
through the mail.
you basically you talk to the doctor. So basically, and then
Like a prescription kind of thing.
I had a call with like a psychiatrist online, like this, we're talking, and she's like, okay, great. You fit these criteria. I had to forward my medical records. She's like, okay, great. What can we get you? And I'm like, well, what do you have? And it's like, well, we have this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, we'll give that a try. And then she sends a prescription off to the dispensary, and they send me an email, payment link, boom. 2 days later, there it is.
It's like a big delivery service. We have that licensing here too, in like California and all that. So that's
but it's not like you can be sitting at home and go, oh, do you know, I fancy a smoke and order it up like you would like DoorDash type thing. But I know it's
a lot more complicated.
But again,
I get it.
Crazy.
So what kind of like I'm curious now. Do you guys only have like one form of cannabis, which is like the flower itself, or do you guys have like different kind of variants too? Because we have like wax, diamond, distillate.
Anything that you have is like that would all be black market. So anything that you get through the post is just going to be.
You can get oil and flour.
Yeah, you got oil. Yeah, apologies. You do get oil.
And I think you can get some sort of tinctures and things like that. But it's it's a kind of like, do you want to try the oil? Do you want to try the flour? And that's kind of
no edibles. There's no hash.
No edibles.
Not that hash isn't necessarily medical, but like
they'll have kind of like shitty edibles. So it'll be like sprayed. it'll just be like really nasty candy sprayed with like hash oil or something. It's like CBD oil, and it's like this is legal cannabis, and they're just sort of like any tenuous link, but
that's funny, man. Okay,
it is, but yeah. I know, man. That's cool. But no, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us, Fat. It's been a really cool conversation, and we'll look forward to seeing what you do in the future, and we'll have to get you on again in a few months to sort of see how things gone. And
sure,
I appreciate it, man. So,
thanks, Fat. It's been really interesting, man. It's great to kind of hear how you guys are getting on.
I appreciate you guys for having me. Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. All righty, so we'll catch you soon, man. Thank you.